Before we start today's video, I'll address the elephant in my room, and that is my face. No, flat earthers, I haven't been punched in the face as much as you wish that would have happened. Unfortunately, I contracted COVID, and through the constant rubbing of my nose and face with a tissue, my lip has swollen. It's not nice, it doesn't feel nice, but I am now fine, don't worry, it just doesn't look great. So on with the show. Peter and Pete are two flat earthers who are known for their very creative ideas.
But I suppose it's like, would something burn more readily in, say, Egypt, in a dry area, than if you were, say, in a moist, damp area? Like Norway, for example, Would things burn more readily in a dry environment?
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I would think logic would have it that it would, wouldn't it? Really?
Would you think so too?
Well, not to be outdone by any of their flat earth contemporaries, Peter and Pete have released a new flat earth video which they think helps their cause. And it's called 10 Questions That Every Flat Earther Should Know How to Answer. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Okay, on with today's video and the ever hopeful Peter and Pete. Now they had a video about 10 questions that all flat earthers should know how to answer. And today we're going to look at the first 5 of those questions. So without further ado, let's go.
So question one, what made you sceptical of the globe earth model? And very short and sweet answer to that would be, what started us going was our disenchantment with society.
Yeah.
Your disenchantment with society. How do you get to flat earth from there?
So if you want to get a definition of disenchanted.
Or disenchanted, it's
quite a good word actually. Disenchanted, meaning.
I'm on capital colour.
Meaning.
Yeah. There you go. Meaning. Sorry, meaning there. There you go. Meaning. Disappointed by someone or something previously respected or admired.
Yeah, but the Collins had a much better.
Collins, is that
Collins, one? Yeah. This is a better definition. If you're disenchanted with something, you're disappointed with it and no longer believe or accept that it is good or worthwhile.
Absolutely. Now, that's pretty much sums us up as individuals with regard to our views on society.
Society is not linked to the shape of the earth, guys. Just because most people in society are rational thinkers and they understand that the earth is spherical, it doesn't mean that society itself is governed by what people think the shape of the earth is.
Yeah.
Modern globe earth society, and that is we've just become disenchanted with it. You know, we don't share the values that it has, do we?
No.
It's values in education, values in even law, because the judicial system could be a lot better. You know.
There's so many. When you live in this society, I'm just talking about UK society, it's very easy to see the flaws in it.
Totally agree, but how do you go from that to start being sceptical about the shape of the earth? Now they prattle on a bit here, so we'll go to the question in hand and see what their answer is.
So what made you sceptical of the globe earth model? So firstly, we're disenchanted with society. And that leads people on to look for flaws within the society.
You see the flaws, and then you look at the information that mainstream pumps out about the globe Earth model. Is, after all, it's only a model.
It's only an idea.
It's not true.
A model in the scientific sense is not just an idea. It can represent an idea, but it can also represent reality, which is what we're saying when we refer to the spherical Earth.
But it's not real. It's only an idea. This is
so
we're a big thing.
It's their reality, and it's competing with the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's what they think is true.
We're in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Whereas they're living an idea.
Yeah.
They think an idea is true.
I can taste the irony in that comment. Do not worry, everyone. The fact that flat earthers can say that we are living in an idea is brilliant. Just brilliant.
But anyway, so that's essentially that one. So number 2, I think.
That was it, by the way. That's what made them sceptical of the globe. Society.
Yeah, number 2. Wouldn't our current understanding of the laws of physics change if they were applied to the flat Earth model? Again, he's calling it a model.
Absolutely, of course. But the first thing I've got to pull up on the question is the laws of physics. And really, he should be talking about the laws of nature, because laws of nature are unchanging. Laws of physics are man-made. They're artificial.
No, they aren't. The laws of physics themselves are laws of nature. They just are, whether we like them or not. Now, as a species, we've identified those laws and given them names. Now, if we hadn't have done that, they would still exist, wouldn't they?
Okay, and at the end of the day, if you changed it and you used the laws of nature, it would read, wouldn't our current understanding of the laws of nature change if they were applied to the flat Earth model? And you say no, they wouldn't. The answer would be no, wouldn't it? The answer would be no. The laws of nature don't change. They don't change.
Because the environment is exactly the same as it was 1,000 years ago. The air is the same.
Sure.
The trees are the same.
And the
hedges, the soil's the same.
And the laws of nature are the same.
The mountains are the same.
And the laws of nature are the same.
Yeah, you still have to have a man, the sperm from a male and the egg from a female to make another being.
Another being, say, for example, human being,
And that's been the same.
Or an animal.
That's a law of nature.
Thanks for the lesson there, guys, but how about this? One law of nature tells us that the minimum size required for rocks to become self-gravitating spheres is around 600 kilometers in diameter. That means with enough mass, something will become spherical. How about that law of nature?
Absolutely, of course, yeah. But you don't, and you have laws of attraction, don't you?
Yeah.
But in nature, you don't have the laws of magnetism in the natural world. You don't have them, and that's a law of physics, the law of magnetism, and yet that doesn't exist in the natural world.
Magnetite is sat there saying, "Am I a joke to you?"
Yeah, because the man-made law of magnetism accounts for repulsion as well as attraction, and yet there's no repulsion
in nature. There's none whatsoever.
Well, there is. The subatomic particles in the very atoms of your body are repulsed by each other. Two objects with the same electrostatic charge are repulsed by each other. Plenty of natural repulsion.
So, wouldn't our current understanding of the laws of physics change if they were applied to the flat Earth model? Well, I can't really answer that, to be fair, If it's because it should be laws of nature.
Yeah.
Would they change? And you say no, they wouldn't.
No.
They wouldn't change at all.
But the idea of gravity could still apply.
Yeah.
To a level plane.
Well, it really can't. And if you knew anything on gravity, then you'd understand that.
To a level plane. In the level plane, being the larger mass, will attract a smaller mass. That would work. You can actually literally have that. But as soon as you extend that, the idea of gravity to when it forms spheres and all this kind of rubbish, then you can't. It doesn't work.
Okay, so you just chuck out the bits of gravity that don't work for you and then keep the rest. Got it.
Because you're applying an idea onto the real deal, and you just can't do that. So that's our answer to that. Yeah. So number 3.
Number 3.
What do you think light is made up of? Or what do you think light is?
This should be good.
And I would say personally, I don't know.
What do you think light is?
Or think, what could light be? Perhaps, do you think?
Well, I could put forward the view that light is subtle variations of heat.
Not entirely incorrect, but of course heat can be a variety of things. Electromagnetic radiation is just one part of that.
Which seems quite a reasonable thing to say.
But some people could say that light is a reflection.
Or
light is illumination.
Or a disturbance.
What? In the force? Sorry, bad joke.
But then, what is light?
But what is light? But
what do you mean by light?
What do you mean by disturbance? But what do you mean by wave?
All these words that were, nobody...
What do you mean by a particle?
Yeah, all these words that people are using.
Nobody knows.
But they're not actually defining what those words mean. Because
Or what light is.
You're only trying to describe something. You're not actually saying what it is.
Well, they are. Light is electromagnetic radiation, and that has been heavily researched throughout history. We know exactly what it is, how it's produced, and where it comes from.
Absolutely, of course. Yeah, man. You see, the thing, one of our biggest gripes with science, and that is science cannot ever come to know the true nature of the real world. Can't do it, and yet it tries to. It comes across as if it knows it all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
about the natural world, and yet it's bollocks. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Science doesn't claim to know everything, and that's the beauty of it. Our understanding of things is constantly changing, getting closer and closer to the truth each time. There are some things we know almost entirely about, and some things we know hardly anything about. But that's okay, as long as we keep trying.
Well, it's ridiculous to put across that we know what light is.
Yeah, human beings, mere mortals.
Know what light... Oh, light is a wave.
Well, what do you mean by a wave? A wave
what do you mean
of what?
by a wave? A wave on an oscilloscope.
Oh, maybe a wave of particles.
But if it's a wave on an oscilloscope, then it obviously has to do something with electricity. But then there's no electricity involved with the light from the candle.
Yeah, so how can that be electromagnetic?
And then when you place a solar panel or photovoltaic cell near sunlight, and then you wire that up to an oscilloscope, you get a flat line.
Yeah, sure.
You don't get a wave.
Oh dear. Photovoltaic cells or solar panels produce a direct current. And a direct current will only produce a straight line on an oscilloscope. Look at this clip of someone testing one. Here is what alternating current looks like. Guys, you're just making yourself look bad at this point. Let's move on to question 4.
Anyway, let's move on. So that's like, can we reach a scientific consensus, or will there always be people who do not want to go with the consensus? Now, my critique of this question is the way Mummon's used the word consensus, because he's given the impression that the scientific consensus is right.
Which it usually is, say 99.9% of the time.
So can we reach a scientific consensus, or will there always be people who do not want to go with the consensus? But, how can you have scientific... But how can you reach scientific consensus when you've already got one? You've already got a scientific consensus, haven't you?
Which answers the question quite nicely. There will always be people who don't want to go with consensus. Question 5, please.
Number 5, here we go.
If I were to make a hypothesis with regards to light and prisms and how prisms work and how light works, would you look at the information I'd support and look at it critically and scientifically on where I went wrong or where I went right? But how do we know whether he went wrong or right?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Because he's only putting forward an idea.
Yeah, because if I were to make a hypothesis, which is an idea that could do with testing, that can be tested, because you have to test your hypothesis, don't you, to know whether it's a null hypothesis or whether it's true or not, you know. But if I were to make a hypothesis, an idea that can be tested with regards to lights and prisms, and how prisms work and how light works, would you look at the information? Well, all the information he'd give us is evidence, and because evidence supports an idea.
Well, you guys aren't the best at looking at current evidence, so I'm not sure this one's going to go very well. But I agree, not a great question, this one.
Evidence supports an idea, and proof supports facts. This is the key. You've always got to bear that in mind. Evidence supports ideas, and proof supports facts.
Now, if you can provide us with proof about your hypothesis,
absolutely, of course,
then that's fine.
Then we know that your hypothesis is correct. And true.
True, yeah.
Well, the proof that we live on a globe is provided every 10 minutes by the Himawari satellite, but you guys don't seem to want to accept that. Well, I think we're going to leave Peter and Pete there for today, and we'll look at the next 5 questions, the second 5 questions of their 10, in a few weeks' time. So for now, we're all done and dusted for another Flat Earth Friday. Thanks so much for watching. It truly is appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider hitting the subscribe button and giving a thumbs up as well. It'd be much appreciated. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a cracking weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday for a Tinfoil Tuesday talking about real dragons. See you then.